secret document put together by the intelligence ministry inside the Israeli government concludes that the best and final solution to the Palestinian problem in Gaza is to remove every last one of them from the area and move them into Egypt. Let's go ahead and take a look at this document. The document is in Hebrew. Here's an image of the document. So this is from the ministry, the intelligence ministry inside Israel. So this is a government agency. They're there to give assessment and analysis, and then they give this over to the government, and the government decides from there. So this isn't binding. This isn't like, yes, this is exactly what we're doing, but this is their intelligence ministry's recommendation. And in this document, they decided, they evaluated 3 possibilities for what to do about Gaza now with this conflict. And this is a fresh new document. This is not something from a long time ago. This has been written since the October 7th Hamas attack. And they're trying to figure out, what are we going to do with this area with Hamas? And they lay out 3 things. Now, 972 magazine, which is an independent Israeli outlet, they reported on this, and they took the time to translate the document. So we're going to be using their translation. It's not an official translation. It's the translation of the 972 magazine, but they are an Israeli outfit. So they would be in a good position. They're based in Tel Aviv. They're in a good position to actually translate this document. So I want to read from some of it because it's pretty interesting. So let's go over this. It says, this was written on October 13th. The Intelligence Ministry, Policy Department, the policy paper Options for a Policy Regarding Gaza's Civilian Population. So this isn't about Hamas. This is the civilians. The executive summary says, the state of Israel is required to bring about a significant change in the civilian reality in the Gaza Strip in light of the Hamas crimes that led to the Iron Swords War. So apparently that's what they're calling this war. Therefore, it must decide on a political objective regarding the civilian population in Gaza, which should be pursued concurrently with the overthrow of the Hamas regime. So that right there, they're not just looking to get rid of Hamas. They're looking to deal with Hamas, overthrow Hamas, and try to figure out what to do with the civilian population after that, which, in a lot of ways is a responsible task. I mean, if you are going to overthrow a government, you should then think about how you're going to rebuild. I mean, America talks about this all the time. Like, we're going to overthrow this government, this dictatorship, but we never say we're going to get rid of all the people, move them somewhere else, and take the land for ourselves. We say, and then we're going to install, our own government to our liking, and we try that whole thing out. Whether or not it works, that's a different story and a different conversation, but that's the U.S.'s typical plan. So, but because you can't overthrow a government and leave people in ruin, that doesn't work out really well. Look at Libya. So the objective defined by the government requires intensive action to harness the United States and other countries to support this goal. So they're saying right there, if we're going to do whatever we're going to do, we need the United States and other countries to support this goal. Fundamental guidelines for every policy. A, overthrow of Hamas. B, evacuation of the population outside of the combat zone for the benefit of the citizens of the Gaza Strip. C, it is necessary to plan for and channel international aid to reach the area in accordance with the chosen policy. Okay, that's good. Although I think Israel should also be paying for this. D, in every policy, it is necessary to carry out a deep process of implementing an ideological change, denazification, it says. So they're wanting to denazify Gaza, which becomes really ironic as we get deeper into this paper. E, the selected policy will support the state's political goal regarding the future of the Gaza Strip and the final picture of the war. It says 4, in this document, 3 possible options will be presented as a policy of the political echelon in Israel regarding the future of the civilian population in the Gaza Strip. Each policy will be examined in the light of the following characteristics. Operative, the ability to execute operationally. So you got to be able to have a plan you can actually execute, right? It can't be pie in the sky. Legitimization, international domestic legal. So they want others to say, okay, we sanction this. It's a good idea. Go ahead. The ability to carry out an ideological and conceptual change among the population in relation to Jews and Israel. So they want them to, have this perception, this new outlook on Jews and Israel. Broad strategic implications. So those are the things that they are, that they have to examine. Number 5, they said the 3 options under examination are option A, the population remaining in Gaza and the import of Palestinian Authority. So the Palestinian Authority is the government that runs the West Bank. So they're saying we keep the population in Gaza. The fact that they're even putting that as a option, like option A, the population remains in Gaza. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Was there's an option to move the people, get rid of these people? Like, okay. But there's option A, the population remaining in Gaza. And then we bring in the Palestinian Authority to run them. So instead of Hamas, we just overthrow Hamas and move in the Palestinian Authority. Option B, the population remaining in Gaza, along with the emergence of a local Arab authority. So like a new government. So rather than the Palestinian Authority running both regions, which it used to before 2007, instead, they're saying, what if, you got the Palestinian Authority running the West Bank and like how Hamas was running Gaza? Instead of Hamas, it's just a different Arab authority. Option C, the evacuation of the civilian population from Gaza to Sinai. That's it. Doesn't say anything else, like just the evacuation of the civilian population from Gaza to Egypt. All of them. Doesn't say except for the ones that are not terrorists, except for the Christians, except for none of that. It just says the evacuation of the civilian population from Gaza to Sinai. Okay. So which option are they going to go with? From an in-depth look at the options, the following insights can be derived. Option C, which is the evacuation of the entire civilian population from Gaza to Sinai, the option that will yield positive long-term strategic outcomes for Israel and is an executable option. It requires determination from the political echelon in the face of international pressure, with the emphasis on harnessing the support of the United States and additional pro-Israeli countries for the endeavor. Options A and B, which is that the Palestinians stay and that they either get the Palestinian Authority government or they get a new government. Options A and B suffer from significant deficiencies, especially in terms of their strategic implications and the lack of long-term feasibility. So they're saying it's not feasible long-term for these Palestinians to stay in Gaza. Neither of them will provide a necessary deterrent effect, which will not allow for a mindset shift. So they want a mindset shift. They're saying that they want them to view Jews in Israel different. And if we let them stay, they won't view us any different. But if we expel them, then what?